Welcome to Business Coaching Secrets with Karl Bryan. If you want to attract new high-end coaching clients, fill live events, and build a wildly profitable coaching practice where business owners pay, stay, and refer, you've come to the right place. In this podcast, Karl provides his keys to the kingdom for finding and signing high-paying clients and building the coaching business of your dreams. Here we go.
Hey guys, Karl Bryan coming at you. As I sit here, don't normally do videos. And look at that hair, guys. That is what you call hockey hair. Karl Bryan, circa 1985. If you're listening to this on audio, you're not going to be able to see, but you'll be able to see it over there on YouTube. Started out as a little bit of fun during COVID. Couldn't get a haircut, and here we are. I'm just kind of going with it, but that will be coming off very, very shortly. Anyways, guys, I did a presentation where I guaranteed to solve any business coaching problem on the spot. In fact, I did it a number of times. This is one of the events. Went pretty well, got some great feedback, and I thought I'd turn that bad boy into a podcast. So that's what you're about to listen to. Hope you enjoy it. If you got any questions, feel free to reach out. I'm an easy guy to find. So appreciate you being here. Hope you enjoy. Goodbye.
Yo, 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 ladies and gentlemen, Karl Bryan coming at you. Hope everybody's doing good. If you were here last week, I had none other than one Adrian Alsh, my business partner and a marketing legend with me. But unfortunately, he couldn't make it today, so you got me on your own. So what I'm going to do, so guys, look, the format, real simple, Q&A, as you saw the marketing promotion, the emails and whatnot, the promotion, possibly on social media. Going to guarantee to solve any business coaching problem right here on the spot. Did it last week. If we go by the feedback, it went pretty well. And let's see how we do this week. But what I need is some questions. So the way you go about doing that is just go, it should be, I think, on the right-hand side. Get over to the right-hand side, guys, and just plunk me a question in there. And by the way, in some case, I'm happy just to read some of them. But also, if you want to be live, just do me a favor, write live in your question. I'll open it up. If I read through, that's going to allow me to get through a few extras. But the bottom line, I need some questions. So I'll tell you what. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to open up a couple lines here. Yo, I'll tell you what. I think Tony's got a question here. And hang on a second. And you could just raise your hand if you'd like, guys, as well. That is cool. So let's get this show on the road, ladies and gentlemen. My boy Tony, I am coming for you, buddy. Where are you? And I'm sorry, guys. There's so many people. If you're wondering what's going on here, I got a ton of people joining, so the dealio is jumping around. So Tony, I am trying to open you up. There you go, Tony Plies. You are live, my friend.
Hey, Karl, how's it going, buddy?
Doing fabulous. What's happening?
Good. I got a question for you here. I don't know if you covered this last week. I didn't get a chance to get on that call, but
that's cool. Hey, Tony, just before we continue, can you hear me all right? My phone was acting up a little bit earlier. We all good?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you great. And also, can you see my screen? You should be able to see Profit Acceleration software. Can you look at that for me?
Let me see here. Yeah, let me see if I can get to it here real quick. Yeah, I can see your screen. Yep.
Okay, there you go. So fire away, boss. You got the first question.
Okay. All right, my question is, what do you do when you have a client that no matter what kind of results you provide them, no matter what kind of proof you can show them on what you're generating for them, they think they know better. And it's a month after month thing. I mean, and it's one I would like to just tell them, to do it themselves. But I mean, they're paying about $9,000 a month. So you really want to try to keep them. But at the same time, it's, me, I'm still stuck in dealing with a lot of auto dealers. And they got marketing people that they think they know it all. They got dealers that think they know it all. And you can prove, as we've done, not only an increase in actual automobile deliveries, but be able to prove that, I think this last dealer I was working with, 3 out of 4 people that bought a car from them saw his ad. No one else can prove anything like that when they're doing television, radio, anything like that, and they still think they know it all.
Yeah. But can you
how
go
do you handle
deeper
them without losing them?
But I need you to go deeper for me. Like, what does know it all mean? And that they're pushing back and trying to scale back the advertising, or like, what's that dynamic? I don't quite get it. Like, what do you mean? What does know it all mean?
Okay, the dealers, well, what they're looking for is they're always looking for the next silver bullet. So no matter how well you do, they want to do better, which, I understand that. But I think that a lot of it is they're comfortable in doing the old things they've always done, whether television advertising, radio advertising, that sort of thing. We're going in more from a digital format. We're doing other things with them as well as with ringless voicemail messaging, things like that. So we're able to tie back, we're able to connect the dots, as we tell them, from the delivery back to their CRM and be able to tie that in with the digital advertising that they're doing. I even had a dealer that, a lot of dealers use a third-party source called dealer.com to handle their website management for them, hosting the website. So they also do the analytics for the dealer. And I had dealer.com send an email back to the dealer that I was copied on and said that, you're normally having about 200 hits a month. You did this campaign. The URL says that it was a Sales Pro campaign, which is, my other company. But anyway, and that you went from 200 a day to about 1,500. And the dealer says, so, and I'm just like, without getting, pissed off at these guys, I'm like, how would Karl handle this?
Okay. Yeah. Look, first of all, good question. High five. Obviously a successful client. You're doing some magic with them. Okay. Here's my question for you. A little bit outside the box, but how did you get this client? Walk me through the dynamic of how you met them and how you got started.
Well, basically, the client I'm talking about right now, I just happened to be in town from another engagement, and I was driving past the dealership and turned around and just walked in and started talking to them, and apparently must have hit on something that they had. It was just a cold call. I'd never met him before.
I gotcha, Tony. Got it, man. I wish I would have said this prior to I asked you, because this is exactly what I assumed. There's an old Chinese proverb that things often end the way they start, right? Which is not necessarily relevant here, but it's of the same family, where you met them off of a cold. I used to have a rule that when I took on a coaching client, if they didn't see me speak in public, I wouldn't coach them, right? What was the reason behind that? There was just, if you read my email from yesterday, I talked about, 80-20. But what's about 1 million times more exciting than 80-20 is the 1% rule, right? So if you take 80-20 and you go 20 within the 20, and then 20 within the 20, and then 20 within the 20, effectively what ends up happening is 1% represents 50, right? 50. So 1% of activity, basically is going to be 50% of, the result, whatever it is we're looking for, revenue, efficiency, etc. And so basically what I found, because my goal wasn't to get coaching clients, my goal was to get coaching clients who are going to do what the hell I said. And when I told them to jump, they were saying how high. And clearly that's a bit of an exaggeration. But I think what the dynamic that you're experiencing here a little bit, you hear where I'm going, right? Where if you brought that same client in from a speaking engagement, what I loved, I would be speaking, right? And remember, not only did I speak, but I was entertaining, which is, people miss this all the time. I didn't want to just get up there and go through my notes and, like a scripted whatever. I was entertaining, and I made fun of myself, and I made fun of them, and, pretty, whole bunch of cool dynamics going on within the room to make it entertaining. And just, if you've ever been to Tony Robbins, it's like you go to Tony Robbins for 4 days, it's like a 4-day rock concert, right? At the end of it, he has a water fight. Everybody in the audience is totally soaked, right? You gotta steal that, right? So the 1% is what I'm getting at here, is that I wanted to
the Chinese proverb, things often end the way that they start. You took on this client from a cold call. And you've been working with us. How long you been with us now? It's been a number of years, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I don't remember how many years, but yeah, a number of years.
Yeah. Let's just I'm going to guess 4, but whatever it is. So the reality is that, if I think that you want to get like taking on clients from a cold call, look, and that's fine, right? And that's again where your magic. In fact, there's a famous story that I tell all the time, and this one, right, within our community, where you were driving by a billboard, right? You and I had a conversation, hung up the phone.
Right.
And this is what Tony's like, guys. By the way, the guy on the phone, he drives by a billboard. He's like, that billboard sucks. He pulls over on the road as he's looking at the billboard, and you called the guy. It was a lawyer, I believe, and you closed him on $2,000 a month.
Yeah, it was.
Correct? Like, kaboom.
Right.
But for you, I think you took, I bet that client was similar, right? Where the preeminence wasn't built up at the end. So I'm just going to say this. You get them through cold calling, because again, you just don't mind doing that. You've had a tremendous amount of success over a period of years doing it, and it's very inexpensive to do. So it's kind of magic.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what you got to do is get them to education early in the conversation. So they've got to attend your webinar. They have to watch your webinar. Like, the video that we created for you, everything, and if you go to your website /wrong, right? That it's an hour and 15 minute guided tour. Send them to that and make them watch that before the first coaching, either before the first coaching engagement or even before the meeting where you close them into coaching. And I think you're going to find that's going to help you establish that preeminence. Not as good as if they came off of a live webinar, but again, it's of the same family. And I think you're going to find that that's going to help tremendously. So what do you think of that?
Well, I think that, probably for the majority of clients outside of automotive, I think that's definitely an avenue I need to go. And I think that you're right on the reason. I just think that this type of client, they're never going to sit there for an hour and watch it.
Yeah. Okay.
Just the way they are.
I hear that all the time. The guy that's going to stay and pay you for 3 years and listen to what you say, and you're not going to have this same dynamic, will. Everybody says that to us, and we have a 90-minute guided tour that we put people in front of, and they don't watch it. They don't spend 90 minutes watching it. We talk to them and they watched it 3 times. And that happens, I'm not going to say consistently, but that happens all the time. So that's what I'm going to say to that one, Tony. Again, I just encourage you to think of that Chinese proverb. Things often end the way they start. It's a little bit similar here, where you got to bring those folks in, with like a preeminent stance. And I think you're going to have a lot more success.
Mm-hmm.
With that dynamic.
I think you're probably right, and it may be also that.
Oh, go.
I was just going to say, I just think that I've been dealing with dealers for so long that I think that I know them, and I probably should try something different. So I think you're right.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to push back on that, because again, I would rather pour gasoline on where you've already had success versus go in a new area. I think that you need to get better. One thing I was really good at was I would be coaching you, and I was like, how people support things they help create. So like on a regular basis, I would be throwing it to them and saying, okay, so since our coaching relationship started 90 days, well, actually I would do this like every 30 days, but so I would flip the piece of paper around and go like, so tell me, what have the results been recently, Tony? Right? So instead of me telling you what they were, you were effectively telling me what they were. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, it does. I like that.
Yeah. So you got to take. So I think if you look at the dynamic, you're telling them how great this is going and what the data looks like. And then if you turn it around and let them tell you what the results are because you're curious, I think again, that's going to change the dynamic. Cool bananas?
I like that. Yeah, I like
that.
Right,
brother. Cool bananas, man. Okay, that's what I want to hear. I'm going to put you back on mute. Right. Appreciate the question, by the way. Okay. Mr. Lee, I'm coming for you. M. Lee. Hang on, buddy. You got a good question, and you are next. I'm sorry, I don't know your... M. Lee, you are self-muted. Emily kind of sounds like Emily, but I don't know why I said that, but it's M. There we go. Emily, how are you doing?
Hello. Hi, Carl. I'm doing fine, thanks.
What's your name?
So my question is, how can someone starting out in this business ethically promote oneself as a consultant without any
Yep.
experience? I think you've answered part of my question when you
Yep.
answered the previous question, like educating people, try to get into a speaking engagement. But what else can one do?
Yep. Okay, good. Sorry, what's your first name?
My name is Maureen.
Maureen? Okay, cool,
Yes.
Maureen. Simple answer. What you want to do, you don't have any results, like you don't have any runs on the board, go coach a few people for free to get
Yes.
some runs on the board and then start talking about that.
Right.
Or what you can also do, and this is where, are you working with us?
Um, it's my brother who's working with you, and I'm like his business partner.
Gotcha. Okay, so what's working with us, we get over 900 coaches in 24 countries around the world. So effectively, by
Yes.
working with us, you can just start saying we instead of I. But
Great.
so remember, Marty, very important. I want to make sure now on behalf of the entire industry, just make sure that, you're going to follow through. And no doubt yet, I'm not suggesting in any way that you wouldn't. But like when you're looking after these clients, just make sure that you're delivering, right? And then it doesn't matter if you have experience or no experience. Like back in the day when I was getting going, I mean, look, I was a pretty young guy. I remember
Yes.
when I got my first, my gray hairs, most people are like, trying to color it. I was like really excited because I was like, finally some credibility, you know what I mean? So that was one of the challenges that I had, but more to the point, like, with experience, like you just got to put a few runs, like, you want to put a few runs on, or actually, sorry, where I was going with that is that I was a young guy. I didn't have kids. My expenses weren't real high. I mean, I was just willing to work harder, than
Right.
my brethren who had more experience than me, so they were paying the other guy $1,000 a month and me $1,000 a month. Well, like I remember, having a client or a realtor as a client. I literally got in the car and I drove around with them. Right? Why? Because I really wanted to understand him. I wanted to understand the dynamics of being a realtor. And that's the way that I was going to help him. Come hell or high water, I was going to change this guy's life. And I didn't care if he was paying me or not paying me. He was paying me a lot, underpaying me, overpaying me. It didn't even factor into it. So, and if I would also, I wasn't concentrating on what I was earning. See, most people are one letter away from greatness. I wasn't concentrating on what I was earning. I was concentrating on what I was learning, putting an L in front, right? I want to throw you into the same basket. Don't worry about how much you make over the next 90 days. Worry about how much you learn over the next 90 days. So, but that's the answer. And be willing to go, like Tom Brady, and if you're like, oh my gosh, coach people for free, which lots of people are, look, Tom Brady threw a football for free for a very long time, right? So don't worry about, you got to look at this from a 10-year standpoint, not a 3-month standpoint. So, coaching for free to put some runs on the board and get a few referrals and maybe a long-term coaching client is going to be a good strategy for you. But I love the question. Good job. And there you go. Does that help?
Yes, it helped a lot. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome, Marty. Okay, beautiful. I'm going to put you back on mute. Good to have you here. Okay. Oh, actually, I was going to say this too. Tony, this is something else, guys. I'm seeing a couple questions here. So one of the things, guys, just have a look at your screen here. And Tony, I'm speaking to you on this one. You're going to see that we've got digital acceleration. And again, probably should have shown this when we just completed digital acceleration software. This just went live about 2 weeks ago. And when you're trying to build up some credibility in and around, digital marketing, and no doubt you could see the magic. If you're a business coach, and even if you're thrown off by digital marketing, if you sit down with a business owner and you go through, basically we'll call it a digital marketing audit, okay, and create results a little bit like this up at the top, that's going to help you with your credibility markedly. And I would dare say that would help, the dynamic that I talked to Tony earlier about where, the preeminence component of it, digital acceleration software will allow you to do that at a high level. So that's the other thing, Marnie. Make sure you're using, you've obviously, our software. Make sure you're using that to get some deals done and build up that credibility. Okay, where am I going here, guys? Hello. Just a revenue sharing agreement. Would you give us an overview of your software? Yeah, Bob. Again, overview of the software, guys. I'm not going to do that just now. I'll do that maybe a little bit at the end. Hang on, Mike. I am coming for you, buddy. He's got his hand up. Again, the board keeps jumping, guys. I'm sorry. I'll have to make sure Adrian's here next week. Here he is. Yo, Mike. You are live, my friend.
Carl, can you hear me, brother?
I can, man. What's happening?
Awesome. Not much, man. Just trying to make this program rock and roll. So here's my question. I've been trying to get into this coaching game for a while. And when COVID hit, that kind of put the gas pedal on, needless to say, with the lockdowns and everything else. And I've had limited success in the past. I mean, I'll get clients here and there. They'll last 30 days, 90 days, maybe 3, 4, 5 months. So it's been kind of hit and miss. And so I recently joined your program. I'm going through the process right now, and I got to tell you, it's the best program I've ever been exposed to or seen in my limited amount of time. But I did a lot of research before I joined your program. I've never joined another one. And my question is, what would you recommend that I do in the first 90 days to really lock in that relationship with a business owner so I can plan on some long-term revenue? Because, getting guys in and you got them 1 month and then you're hunting them down the next month and trying to go find new, man, it's a rat race and it becomes more of a job. And I'm looking to create more of a business with that residual effect. So any tips you can give me on how to get those guys locked in? I love it. Days?
Yeah. Yes. And by the way, spectacular question, quite frankly. And this is, guys, for everybody listening, this is what you want to be thinking about, right? Here would be a good question. Carl, how do I rock somebody's freaking world so they can't live without me? You know what I mean? Think about that, right? When Tony Robbins goes in, and you can imagine the obscene amounts of money that he gets paid. I mean, he doesn't show up. He doesn't do what he's paid for. He doesn't do what's expected. He does what it takes, the end. So with that being said, Mike, here's what I would do. What I'm going to do is kind of walk you through a little bit. Let's call it a 90-day kind of dynamic with what I would do with clients. So number one is I've got to establish the little red arrow, you are here. If you guys haven't listened to my podcast, you haven't heard me talk about that. If I go skiing and I'm at the top of the mountain, and I'm looking at the map, right? I don't want to get lost, but I want to take some cool runs and I want to do black diamonds or green runs or, blue runs or whatever to keep my daughter safe or whatever it's going to be. The little red arrow, you are here, is the most important part of that map. Otherwise, the rest of it's just a dog's breakfast, right? So number one is you want to establish that with your coaching client, right? And don't just expect to ask them some questions and have their answers be perfect. You know what I mean? This is a dynamic that you kind of got to go back and forth on, but you got to establish you are here. As an example, how many leads did you get last month? And then the guy says 20, which he won't even be able to give you the answer, but then you establish that it's 20. And then my next question is, okay, well, where did the 20 come from? Okay, and you heard me talking earlier about the 80-20 and then the 1% rule, which 1% represents 50%. What I'm looking for is 80-20, because I don't want to go and mistake coaches make is they want to go and come up with a new lead source, right? Like the digital marketers of the world. Well, oh man, we're going to turn on Facebook ads and rock your world, right? That's the worst thing that you can do. Sometimes it's fabulous, but more like 90% of the time, it is a really stupid thing to do. It's like, hey, Mike, tell me, where did you get, you got, 20 leads. Where did they come from? Now that I know where they come from and I'm looking for the 1%, definitely the 20%, now I want to pour gasoline on that. So I hope that's explaining, that's my establish your you are here arrow, and then we go from there, right?
Right.
I also think what's super duper important, okay, and you take this one to the bank, the chokehold on your business, my business, Tony Robbins' business, every business, Coke, Pepsi, Ford, whoever, Amazon, is the psychology of the owner, right? So don't think like, have you ever thought to yourself, like, we've all heard, do you want fries with that, right? Obviously. Well, walk into the average burger shop, like, joint selling burgers, whatever that might look like. Walk in, order a burger and a Coke, and then see if they ask that question, right? And with ridiculous predictability, they won't. And then ask yourself the question, why? Like, why would they be so stupid, right? And then when you do that, do they say, do you want me to supersize that? And of course they don't, right? And then do they say, do you want an apple pie with that? And the answer is they don't even sell apple pie, even though McDonald's has the formula, the multi-billion-dollar formula right there, right? Well, why not? Here's why. The guy who owns the burger shop is hiring his daughter. Okay, she's 16, 17 years old. And he says, baby, let's call her Susie. Susie, tonight I want every person that orders a burger and doesn't order fries, I want you to say, do you want fries with that? Well, she does it for a night, right? He's like, wow, high five, Susie. That's amazing. And then basically the numbers at the end of the night, he does his numbers and he's like, oh, wow, we made $100 tonight that we didn't make previous night selling fries. Like, hey, that's a winning strategy. And then guess what happens the next night? Susie doesn't ask, do you want fries with that? And now it's his daughter. And what has he got to do? He's got a trainer. He's got a developer. He's got a reprimander. He might have to fire her and then hire somebody who's actually going to do it. Right? Well, guess what he does? He looks at Tuesday night's takings and he's like, look, it made $100. Do I really want to fire my daughter over $100? And the answer is going to be a no, right? The problem, he's not taking 365 days a year, multiplying that by 100, right? And now all of a sudden you're looking at tens of thousands of dollars instead of $100, right? And, when you're talking, 30 grand, that's worth firing somebody and then retraining somebody. When you're talking about 100, you're not, right? So again, this is what I mean by Jedi mind tricks. Like, they're in their own head. And frankly, if you're looking at your screen, and the software. So rather than digital acceleration, I'm just going to take you into what we call profit jumpstart. And basically, this is why you want to rip somebody through the profit jumpstart, so you can go through, these are the 12 areas that will rock somebody's world. And then you look up here, guys, if you look in the top right-hand corner, and Mike, if you're looking at that, you're going to see how basically ripping somebody through that process, it does all the multiplication for them, and it creates the compound and exponential growth. So you're like, holy cow, if I start saying, do you want fries with that? Is that the result that it's going to create? And the answer is absolutely. So anyways, Mike, a little bit long-winded, man, but Jedi mind tricks, just understanding that you're going to have to get him out of his own way. You're going to have to what is that? The guy, I can't remember his name, but the dog whisperer? He talks about how he trains the dog and then rehabilitates the dog, but then trains the owner. Right? Because it's the owner that's all messed up. Like the guy calls and thinks his dog needs some, keeps pissing on the carpet and thinks that it's the dog's fault. And he's like, no, man, sorry. You're the one that they have to train, right? They do more work with the dog owner than they do the actual dog, which is kind of hilarious. So that's what I'd say. And one more thing, and I'm going to throw it back to you, buddy. The other mistake, their goal is I want to hit $1 million, right? Like, that's their goal. I think I actually talked about this last week. And it's a horrific, that's just stupid. When you understand how stupid that goal is, you'll never let anybody have it again. Because that's the conversation in their head is, I want to hit $1 million. I want to hit $1 million. I want to do 7 figures. Well, I know people, and people, no doubt, that do 7 figures and then they lose 80 grand. They do 7 figures and then they make 60 or they make 80, right? Well, when you make 80 grand and you do $1 million of trade, this is not a good business, right? Or, and then we got business that does 500 grand in gross revenues and they make 250 grand. Which one would you rather own, right? So I don't know, Mike, what do you think, man? That help? Does that put you on the right track?
Yeah, I think that's really good. Getting the business owner to, actually map out the progress with you, by asking them the right questions. And that was one of the things that impressed me about the program, was the ability to ask these right questions in the software, because I was really scattered. I was kind of all over the board because, you
Yeah.
know, you.
Oh, Mike, lost you, brother. Mike, you there, buddy? Oh, you're back.
Oh, I said you.
Oh, sorry, buddy. Sorry, Mike, you're dropping off there, man. I'm going to put you back on mute.
Then they're confused.
Oh, sorry, Mike. Got to put you back on mute, brother. You're coming in and out, man. You're coming in and out. But great question, man. Super appreciated. Rob Cheney, I'm coming for you, buddy. Rob, you're self-muted, bud. You got to unmute yourself. There he is. Rob, you're live.
Yeah. Okay. So earlier you mentioned something about a 90-minute tour. Is that something us coaches should have gone through, or was that something you developed yourself?
Okay. And excuse me, Rob, are you working with us?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought so. So, okay, if you go to your website and you go /wrong, you're going to see that there's a 90-minute video there. And it kind of outlines just like, okay, I don't need to meet, if you're driving down the road, I was talking about it with Tony, right? This is where, did you hear what I was talking to Tony. He asked the first question. We were talking about how he drove by a billboard. And then he was like, he literally stopped, pulled over, called the guy on the billboard. We get a clever way of, getting the guy to call him back. He calls him back, and then he closed him in $2,000 a month coaching. Basically what happened is he was looking at his sign, and it had like the name of the company at the top. It said service, quality, dependability in the middle, and then a phone number and a web address at the bottom, right? And I just described a solid 80%, if not 90% of the marketing that you're going to see: newspapers, magazines, radios, billboards, signs on the side of cars. So if you meet somebody and that's the dynamic where their marketing looks very vanilla, and just think blown up business card, because their business card, same thing. It's got the name at the top, service, quality, dependability in the middle, and then their name or their phone number and web address at the bottom. Well, basically, if you send them, you go, look, I saw your marketing, man. Look, can you do me a favor? I'm calling like as a community service. Stop running that ad, dude, because I bet you got kids that would love to go to Disneyland. Take the money from the ad and take the kids to Disneyland, because it would be better, money better spent, because I don't need to ask you how your marketing's going, because I know that ad isn't bringing in any results. That's a little on the, the dramatic side of what I would say, but something along those lines. And then they're like, well, how do you know? Like, I don't get it. And you go, well, look, I don't have any time to talk now. As a coach, I just gave you a hack. You're always busy, right? Steve Jobs, if you wanted to get the guy on the phone, it would be 2 weeks, 10 days minimum before he would be available, no matter how open a schedule was. So you're super busy and you say, look, I'm too busy right now. I can't really chat. I just, for some reason, I felt called, yeti to call on you. I've got a 90-minute video on my website. I will send it to you. Please watch it. And at the end of that video, you're going to know exactly why I know that ad is not creating any traffic or phone calls, right? Well, they go watch that video, and the video is very disruptive, and it basically just, it jogs them into, oh my goodness, I'm such an idiot. Yes, I need to turn off these ads, and I need to come up with something more compelling to say than I need clients. So, answer your question, Rob, that's kind of the dynamic, but yes, you've got that video, and yes, you should get coaches. You should get prospects to watch it before you sit with them.
You're referring to that everything you've ever learned video?
That's it.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, my site hopefully is going to be live today. I just started with you guys.
Oh, cool. Okay, gotcha.
So I thought
cool.
That was
there we go, man. Does that help, brother?
90, and I keep hearing 72 minutes, so I wasn't sure if it was the same thing.
Okay, yeah, so yeah, it's the same one. Yeah, I think it's actually just been redone. So if it's either the new one or it's literally been like, it's less than 7 days old. We just redid it, so that should be available soon. And cool bananas.
Okay, great. Yeah, but that is a very good video. So I'm glad you brought that up as a good sales tool.
Look, yeah, when you meet a prospect and they watch that video, like we hear this all the time. In fact, that's a video that's not used with our clients enough. Like a lot of our high-end coaches say, like they get them to watch that video and they get the, the prospect back on the phone, or, belly to belly, toes to toes, that, do the process, like in our case is 100K or whatever it is. And the coaching client, or the prospective coaching client, just says uncle, right? They're like, oh my gosh, I watched that video. I am an idiot. Can you help? Right? Like it expedites that coaching relationship big time, big time. Cool bananas. Okay, man, does that answer your question? We all good?
Yes, that is good. So I did the first call with Alan, and he was mentioning he does it a different way. So he'll probably go in more detail about that on the second call. But he was saying something about he doesn't use that video first.
Okay, you know what? Listen to Alan. He's got himself a process. I don't want to confuse you. Bottom line is you want to use that video, and it's just a matter of where you put it in the process. I might be putting it in a little bit early for what he's going to provide for you, but strictly speaking, you got to get him in front of that video. It'll work magic for you. Okay?
Great. Thanks for answering my question today.
Okay, man. Thanks so much, Rob. Appreciate you, buddy. Okay, where am I going here? Ronnie Michael, the man with two first names like me. There we go. I like you already. Ronnie Michael, I'm trying to open you up, buddy. You are self-muted.
How about now? Can you hear me now? Okay.
There he is. How are you, Ronnie? You're live.
Hey, how are you doing, Carl? I'm doing well, thanks.
Man.
Hey, I feel kind of dull now when I tell you my goal is $1 million. I was listening. I'm that idiot.
Working.
I need you as a coach.
That's it, man. Cool. What's your question?
Well, the question really is, I was just curious, that, the coaching world obviously has evolved, right? You've been part of that evolution. You're starting today. This is kind of a hypothetical. You're starting today, and you really do have, let's just take away the $1 million number, but because actually, frankly, it's even higher. Okay, but I have aspirations. I've built businesses before. This is kind of a passion for me, right? Coaching and this whole process, right? Business. So I'm really positive about things. But I would like to know, what is the most productive, if you had to do it today, how would you start? What would you focus on? And I'm really interested in sort of the steps that you would take. And also there's a couple of questions, niche versus general to begin with, or just kind of what are your thoughts?
Yeah. Sorry, excuse my ignorance. Are you working with us or no? Because that will change slightly.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I am.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So, and by the way, when somebody asks your last name and you say Michael, do they say your last name, please?
Yes, it's worse. All right, Carl, it's worse. I don't want to bore people, but my real name, my name is Ronald Michael Smith. Okay, and I'm using the pseudonym because Michael Smith is like you're invisible. Okay, so I'm trying to be not visible. How about that? So I'm using my first and middle name. There you go. All right,
I love it. High five, man.
I've confused the hell out of everybody I'm working with. That
exactly. Everybody's confused.
Anyway, there you go.
It's all good. That's a great story. Okay, but no, here, look, real simple, man. I'll give you the live event mastery. If I was starting again with 100% certainty, this is what I would do. In fact, I ran, like we do a live event every year, business coaching mastery in Cancun, and I did a presentation last year. What would I do if I started again? And this is exactly what I said, but I took a number of hours to get through it, but I'm going to give you the 5-minute version. I would do live event mastery. We have that program, right? But very simple for everybody listening that's not with us. It's a program. I would do a live event. How many people would I put in the room? Not 25, not 50, definitely not 100. I would put 10. Why 10 and not 100? Because I want less people, excellent follow-up, not more people and poor follow-up, because the two will happen, right? So I put 10 people in the room. If I put 10 people in the room, I'll probably have 10 maybes, where some people want to come and they couldn't make it, or they planned to come and they didn't get there, whatever that's going to look like. So there's 10 people that couldn't roll up, 10 people that do roll up, and then I'm going to make sure that I get 10 referrals. Like before, I used to do a local live event. I did over 400 of them. Actually filled over 400 of them. I would always put out the intention that I would get 2 referrals per person in the room. And I just, for some reason, that's what I wasn't worried about, the sales and the appointments and that. I found that if I got 2 referrals per person, everything else fell into place. So that was my intention. Let's assume you do half that well, and you should if you follow the roadmap where we feed people and really put on a entertaining show. You get 1 referral per person. Okay, well, event number 2, guess what? you got 30 people to follow up with. Event number 3, you got 60, and then 90, then 120, 150. Because you see, like, if you speak to people from back in the concentration camp, they will tell you that it was brutal and people were dying, and the starvation and the dehydration, it was all brutal. But the worst part was not knowing when it was going to end, right? So how is that relevant? People, I find, will cold call. They just need to know that it's going to end. And yes, you can use Facebook ads and all that stuff, but you can do it so much cheaper. It's so much easier. And quite frankly, for a bunch of dynamics that I'm not going to get in today, it's a better way of doing it, because you're going to sharpen your saw at a higher level, because the same way that you get somebody to a local live event cold is very similar to the way that you close them into, call it $24,000, $36,000 a year coaching, right? But back to that. So you go 30, 60, 90, 120, 150, 180, et cetera. Well, now you don't need to cold call. You don't need to call anybody anymore, because guess what? The leads are looking after themselves. Here's the X factor and the big star and the magic, the 1%. In my third event, what I do is I bring an accountant. Okay, what do I do to get the accountant there? And the answer is I don't do my best, right? That's for losers. What I do is what it takes, including sending a limo, picking them up myself, sending an Uber, whatever it takes is what I do to get the accountant there. And of course that, you're not going to, send a model type of thing. That's getting a little bit extreme, but believe me, I want the accountant there. Why? Halfway through the event, I edify him. He doesn't know it's coming. I throw the room to the accountant and I make him feel and look like an absolute stinking superstar, right? At the end of the event, if you read my email, I believe it was yesterday, the 80-20 and the 1%, when you walk off stage, this is when you're in the zone. This is Michael Jordan territory. Most people get off the stage and go to the bathroom to take a pee, right? When you get off the stage, this is your 1%. This is the zone. This is when the game is won and lost, right? So, and one of the guys and there's one guy in the room that's got 400 clients, and then there's the chiropractor and the dentist. I want to get to everybody, but I most definitely want to make the accountant feel good. You know what I mean? Because why?
Yep.
I'm going to go to the accountant. Look, man, if you liked that event and if you made him the show for 5 minutes, believe me, he liked it more than if you didn't. Well, I say, why don't we do this event in your boardroom, and we'll do it 10 clients at a time, and you and I will put on a show and change their freaking lives. And yes, some will spend more money with us, but let's not worry about that. Let's educate every one of your 400 clients on what we just talked about. And then he does it, right? Or he doesn't, but if you do it 10 times, you're going to have 3 people filling events, and you'll be way too busy as a one-man coaching business to keep up. Now, the next event with a star, the 1%, I put the guy who owns the magazine, the guy who owns the newspaper, the guy who owns the radio station, the number one ad salesperson for the radio station, the Chamber of Commerce, the gal that sells all the memberships, because again, they've got 80-22. Right? The one of the gals there sells 80% of the memberships. I get her to the event. How do I get her there? I do whatever it takes. And that's it. And I would just continue to do that. You'd be so busy, you won't be able to keep up. And as a one-man business coaching team, there's no way you could handle all the business that you create by doing that.
Awesome. So I'm assuming the details to this are in the mastery program. I just have
live event mastery, man, step by step. Everything is. Actually, if I show you, want me to just check this out? So as an example, for everybody looking, and yourself, Ronnie, like basically if you're working with us, like you go you need to have an invitation for your event. You fill in A through J, and we just go A, B, C, D, E, F, G, send you your invites. You need a workbook. You fill out A through M, A, B, C, D. My guys do all the work. They just send it to you. Your registration page, we've got like a countdown climber and all that sort of stuff. So anyway, so that's all there ready to rock and roll. So yeah, it's a live event mastery. Any of the guys can point you towards it.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you. Thanks, Carl.
Does that help you? You like the roadmap?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. I'll jump all over this. Perfect.
Okay. Beauty. High five, brother. Put you back on mute. All right. Ross, you just have your hand up, buddy. You are muted. Ross Pantel.
Hey, Carl.
Yo, Ross, you're live. How you doing?
Good, and you? Couple of things. I'm working with an interior designer. Just did a PAS with her, and I have to continue because it went like an hour and a half, and every question I had with her was another story. Um, you know,
By
it's just
you or by her? Hang on,
by
by you
her,
or by her?
by
Yeah, okay.
her. You know, she's
Okay.
spending She just started spending $1,000 on AdWords, 150 for someone to do a website, 150 for an email newsletter. And, you know, every point I come up with, she's talking and telling me, you know, I have to ask her more questions because she's not answering the questions. She's like lost. And
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
and at the end of the day, you know, I said, listen, you know, we've got to do it. I have 2 hours on Friday from 11 to 1. I could slide you in and let's wrap it up. But you know, and she says, well, I've dealt with a lot of coaches before. So I said to her, have any coaches really gotten down and gotten into the heart of what's driving you in your business, like to get a market dominating position? And she says, well, I have
Yep.
one. So I said, let me hear it. And I said, it's too vague. It's too broad. And, you know, you could see her face. Well, I've been working on this so long. I said, well, because you're not really digging up the problems that your client
Yep.
has.
Yep.
And, you know, and I feel like it's like a tennis match that's not ending, you know.
Okay, may I jump in here just real quick because I want to make
Absolutely.
sure I don't lose my train of thought? Okay, there's one word. Everybody write this word down. Curiosity. Okay, I'm going to guess that you didn't do what I'm about to say, and this will change it. First of all, you've got to take more control of that meeting. Okay, if you're letting her
Okay.
run with the story, you got to say, look, we've only got so much time. And, you know, I need, you know, it's the first time she goes off on a tangent. That's great, right? Like you, again, assume the sale. You and I are going to get to know each other intimately here. You know, I'm going to get to know your business intimately. So this is a real quick walkover. There's just some dynamics that I need to understand to see if you're, you know, if you're suitable for us to work together, because I really have to change I've got the capacity to really change your existence. That kind of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
But here's the X factor. You said market dominating position. She says she's got one. You say, tell it to me. She spits it out. Here's what I would have said. I would have said, wow, so look, not bad. You're on the right track. A little bit of work we need to do before we do it. But I got to tell you, I've got a really good idea as to exactly what your market dominating position could and should be. And I got to tell you, it's going to blow your mind. But let's just assume, what do you think? How much, if I come up with the right market dominating position that's going to blow your mind, or more to the point, blow the mind of your clients, imagine how curious she is right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of impact do you think that will have on your business, right? She goes, oh my God, right? Like she's panting, drool coming out of the side of her mouth, right? And she's going to spit out 25%. You go, whoa, baby. Let's just, or you wouldn't call her baby, but you know, Susie,
Yeah.
I just want to go 5%, right? Let's just agree. I agree. We could do 25%. When you hear what we come up with, I'm going to rock your world in a really good way, but let's just go 5% next. Okay, now, let me do joint venture. Okay. Same thing. I go, do you have any joint ventures in place? She's probably going to say, what the hell is that? Or no, right? You go, I know the perfect 2 joint ventures for you. These 2 relationships are going to totally change your existence. Okay. But what do you think that will be worth? She goes 30. You go, no, 5, right? And then bingo, bango, bongo. My goal is to make her curious as heck. You see how I did that? You see how that was different than what you're doing?
Yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you 100%. No, I appreciate that. And,
Cool,
and
man.
one last thing is I went in and I went to look at the recap page, or let's see, summary. I went to look at dashboard. Oh, the results analysis of mine, and it's not pulling up the ROI portion. What it's doing is it's saying average from coaches services from profit increase infinity %.
What are you using? Chrome?
Actually in Edge.
Are you okay? Just do a hard refresh, try it again, and I'd be amazed. And if not, you know, again, just PAS and then our domain name, and the guys will answer you.
Gotcha. All right. Appreciate it, Carl.
Actually, I might just, so anybody listening is wondering what the heck he's talking about. So when you rip somebody through the software, you see we get a coaching return on investment. So let's say that I'm $5,000 a month, or actually let's say that I'm less expensive than that. I'm $2,000 a month. I save that, and then look what happens. And let me take, so I'm going to have a profit share. I'm not, so I just took that out. And there's my coaching fee, $24,000. And then that's the money, like $530,000 is what their new profit's going to be over the next 12 months. And their current profit is $200,000. So I get a $330,000 increase in their profit. And you'll see that represented up here in the top right-hand corner, if you can see that. Again, so the software rips the business owner through 497 million weighted algorithmic sequences, which basically then populates a roadmap. So if I go to the report, and then I click summary, get roadmap toggle switch, I either do a roadmap. See how this is a $591,000 profit acceleration roadmap that comes from this number here, or I click that and it's a summary, and basically this is the step-by-step roadmap that you work with your client. So anyway, so that's there. So that is what Ross is talking about. Okay, cool, Ross. How did I do? All good?
All good.
Cool, man. I'm going to put you back on mute. Somebody is asking when these are going to be updated on my YouTube channel. I haven't even decided if I'm going to. You know what? They'll be up soon because it just makes sense they go up. So if you just go to my YouTube channel, if you search me there, I think I get a very lame YouTube channel. Okay, I get the #1 podcast, the #1 magazine, the #1 software, and the #1 email list in business coaching. But my YouTube channel stinks. When you go there, don't be bitterly disappointed in me with the lack of action. But the bottom line is these will be up there. Tell you what, by the end of the week, last week and this week will be up there. Stephen Clausen, I am coming for you. Stephen, you are live.
I am right here. How are you, Carl?
Fabulous. How you doing?
Okay, I'm okay. In the times of the pandemic, how in the world do we determine how we get in front of people, and more importantly, with the changing demographic of businesses closing and one impact on another, how do we determine who to contact? I don't know if those are bad questions or not, but
no, it's okay. I do want to go back to Mike asked earlier. Why, what would I do? Like the chokehold on every business is psychology. And I want you to think about the question that you're asking, right? It's negatively geared, right? And you understand what I'm saying there, right? But like, forget the pandemic. The pandemic is your best friend as a business coach, right? Why? Disturbed people. Like when I do a live event, at the end of the event, rather than most people are looking for a standing ovation, right? That is the worst result you can get. Even the motion is like they're sitting there waving towards you, right? In a perfect world, I would have everybody in tears with their head in their hands at the end of my presentation. Why? I want to disturb them. And by the way, if you want an example of that, Tony Robbins, just go to Tony Robbins GPW. He's got something called Dickens process, and it involves everybody laying on the ground, and it's about a 4-hour deal. And literally people are wailing and crying, and the whole thing is to take them to an ugly place, right? So basically people are in an ugly place, and if they're not in an ugly place, they're also a little bit scared, going, holy cow, like what happens next? Like the crazy meter has moved dramatically. So this is going to be coming again, right? Don't you worry about that. This one's not even over. It's dragged on, 6 months longer than it should have. So the crazy meter's moved. It's going to be coming again, right? So you got to make sure that these guys get ready to go to the next one. And then not to mention, as businesses open up, they've got to make sure that they do it in a secure and strategic way. So therefore, when you plant that seed, people are going to want to talk to you more than ever. They're going to want to come to your webinar. Like if you guys read my email that I sent out, I believe it was yesterday afternoon for this, let me just tell you, I made this error. I changed the wording, and you're going to see me talking about the pandemic yesterday, whereas you wouldn't really, I don't even know if I mentioned it in the other emails. And I was like, oh, whoopsie, boom, one email. You can imagine the opt-ins were, for an event that was like 2 weeks old, the opt-ins from one email were really good. And I guarantee in the emails to come for it, I'm going to start mentioning the pandemic, right? That's a strategic error that I made. Again, not perfect. So there you go. So that's the answer to that one. And yeah, just look, you want to help businesses. It should be easier to get people to your presentations. Live. I was talking about with Ronnie earlier, like doing live events. You probably find, Stephen, like where you are, I would be amazed if you couldn't put 5 people in a room right now. And if you can't, in a month's time, 2 months' time, you're going to be able to. So I'd be setting yourself up for that. So I would be doing local live events the exact way I outlined it with Ronnie, right? And again, I want 5 to 10 people in a room. And it's actually kind of works in your favor because now you got a reason to say why you only brought 5 people. Whereas in the past, if you only brought 5 people and they go, I thought this guy was a marketing superstar. Why has he only got 5 people in the room? Why isn't there 50 people here? Well, now you got an excuse to make that like, no. I just wanted to be an intimate small group and I wanted to respect, the pandemic and social distancing and all the other hoopla, right? Follow me,
yeah.
Like it, disagree, agree. What do you think?
That's really good. That's spot on, actually.
Yeah. So I really just want to go to the beginning though. You've got to be careful. Don't let this pandemic, it's either a disaster or an opportunity. It's an opportunity all day long, man. All day long.
Okay.
Cool bananas? All right, Stephen. Cool, man. Appreciate you, buddy. Hey, guys, I planned on, hang on a sec here. Guys, I know some of you got to go. I'm going to stay here for a little bit longer. Those of you that want to get together with us and you'd like to hear a little bit about the software and all that sort of stuff, it's very poorly written out. coachingclientsnow.com. Okay, there's a few calendars there. Go to coachingclients with an S now, all spelled out right there, .com. Okay, so you want to get together with us, that is the place to do it. And again, I'm seeing so for all the messages there, guys, that's where you go. Okay, cool bananas. So I'm going to keep going here though. Randy Limas, my boy Randy. He's pretty new with us. Randy, you are self-muted, my friend. There he is. Randy, you're live. Yo. Randy, you there? Can't hear you, man. Okay, let me see if I can. Okay, Randy, I'm going to put you back on mute. I apologize, my friend. Can't hear you. I'm coming for Ben Isakov. Sounds like a good Russian name to me. Yo, Ben, you're live.
Hello. I'm alive. Yeah, and it is. It's like let's say it's Russian name. Yeah, I'm a Russian speaker anyway. So how's it going?
I love it.
Yeah.
Fabulous. What's your question, boss?
Yeah. Okay. You know what? Like, so I asked the question. I'm new to coaching in general. I opened my firm this year, February, and then COVID hit us. Which is, again, you can take it both directions. Best time ever, bad time ever. I choose the best time. I started to search for my niche. I'm a QA and CI operations specialist, right? So I can take your business systems and streamline them and make it work, efficiently. So that's what I do. That's what I wanted to do with my clients. Now I started to search for a niche and I found, hard time finding clients, like really hard time. Searching back and forth, I came across LPW and I just love, like, whatever you put in there. The systems are great, very engaging. Now I still kind of have hard time to get traction. I'm getting much better. I already have my clients working with me, right? And I started to have live events. So I had some webinars in the past because I had felt that this is how you need to do it. And then you guys told me, boom, you need to do this, and that, right? And it's pretty much the same. But my question is the following. What is the 20% that you would say that I need to concentrate my focus on? You already kind of answered that throughout this session. And and pretty much, you know what, maybe some advices from you for the beginner coach, maybe something different that you already told us.
No. Look, first of all, man, I want to just, again, I love good questions, and there's all been good questions today, by the way, but this is an excellent one. What's the 20? And again, look, I got to be respectful of everybody else here. I want to get to a couple other questions, but if I could establish your little red arrow, you are here, I would have a better opportunity to do that. Here's a question for you. Are you comfortable speaking in public?
Yes and no.
I'm
searching
what do you mean?
for engagement, but sometimes I'm getting like too nervous. Like my heart is pumping like crazy. And stuff.
Okay. All right. Okay, I can solve that for you. Okay, I got it. Let me go. Okay, so then here's the answer. First of all, the reason you get so if you want to get over those nerves, all you got to do is you got to make it about them and not you. And I know, no doubt, you do that. But you know what I mean? Like if you really respect the audience and you really do your homework and you really practice your script and, we give you literally a word for word, document as what you say. If I get in front of, 10 people, 5 people, or 100 people, or 1,000 people, it's the same thing. And we give you that word for word script and 104 PowerPoint slides all ready to go. The bottom line is that you got to make it about them. It's like I meet a coach who says he won't cold call, right? And I'm like, the reason somebody wouldn't cold call is because it's about them, right? You got to make it about the other guy, right? You got to, like when Tony talked earlier and he drove by, this billboard and he literally pulled over and called the guy. Look, that was a cold call all day long. But the approach that he took is this guy's smoking $2,000 a month on that billboard and I'm going to help him, right? See, like Tony Robbins would have made a cold call over the last 90 days. But the difference is when Tony phoned somebody, he felt like he wanted to get a hold of somebody to tell them something, right? So he didn't think of it as a cold call, if you know what I'm saying? You got to do the same. When you call somebody who's spending $2,000 a month on an ad or a piece of marketing that's got no chance of working because it is name of company, service quality, dependability in the middle, and then phone number and web address at the bottom, you know what I mean? Like this is not a cold call, right? This is a public service undertaking, right? Where you're like, dude, take the money and get your kids to Disneyland. This is nuts, right? Anyway, so when you do your live events, always make it about them. That's why when I did a live event, my undertaking wasn't how much money can I make. My undertaking was that there's 10 people in this room and I'm going to walk out of here with 20 referrals. And I found that the appointments, the money, the coaching clients and everything else looked after themselves when I did that, right? So that's good. So number one for the 20 is doing local live events, and again, you can do them virtually for sure. You will get significantly higher conversions when you do it locally. And that's the 20%, man. And I explained it. Ronnie asked a really good question. He said, look, if you were to get going, if you were to start again, what would you do? Not only would I do that, I mean, whatever it was, like when I got going a couple of decades ago, that's exactly what I did, right? And I picked up the phone and I cold called people. When I cold call, this might be a really good hack too. Here's a 1%er, definitely a 20%er. When I phoned you, Ben, there would always be a reason. I call it a reason frame. Okay. So you're a baker and you were put up for an award. You didn't win it, but you were one of 10 local bakeries that were nominated for the the top award for the locally. The reason I'm inviting you is because you were nominated for the award. And I'd call the other 8 with the same reason frame. I would call the runner-up, and because they were the runner-up, that's why I'm inviting them. And I would call the winner and say, because you were the winner, you were invited. You follow me? And then if somebody was advertising and they had a half-page ad in the newspaper, the reason I was asking them is because they had a half page. If they had a whole quarter page, the reason I was calling them is because they had a quarter page, right? So anyway, they're a member of the chamber. The reason I'm calling is because you are a member of the chamber. You're a member of BNI. The reason I'm inviting you is because you're a member of BNI and clearly looking to grow your business. And we'd like to have you participate in the talk. I'd like to be known, what you're up to and not up to. So I don't know. That's the, the 20%. And I would also dare say that our software, which, you're using, the software also falls into that because you're just going to convert such a higher number of people. Actually, you know what? In the interest of just everybody here listening, I want to give you one other 20%er. Here it is. In fact, I was talking to a coach earlier today. I delivered. So he was basically telling me how he had a coach who was mentoring him. And then he was explaining this dynamic that the guy had. And I'm just like, dude, without sounding, with humility, I'll say this, but I'm like, the guy who's coaching you is a lightweight. Like you gotta, like what happens is like somebody's overweight. They go meet up with somebody else who's overweight to lose weight, right? Go find somebody with a six pack. Okay. That's who's going to help you lose weight. It's like a smoker teams up with another smoker and they try to stop smoking, right? Go find a non-smoker and team up with that guy, right? Because he's not going to fall for the cigarette in the morning or after he eats something, right? So in other words, a bad coach teams up with another bad coach and they start creating really bad frameworks, right? Mm-hmm. So with that, and by the way, maybe I'm right on that one, maybe I'm not. You guys take it, but I believe what I'm about to give you is a 1%er, definitely a 20%er. So the mistake that this guy was making, and where I went to the lightweight comment, was that basically people couldn't afford his high-end coaching, and let's just call his high-end coaching $2,000 a month for the sake of the argument. So he charged $500 a month. And I said, man, that's crazy. I'm like, how much, what sort of revenue do you think these guys are doing? He said, he normally went for businesses doing 500,000 to $1 million. And I go, first of all, there's plenty of jam in there for you to be able to create $24,000 a year coaching clients times 10. I said, here's what you got to do. You close them instead of, you don't want to disrupt your lifetime value. Your lifetime value is $24,000 a month or a year ongoing. So instead of closing them in month one at $2,000, close them in month one at 500. Month two is 1,000. Month three is 1,500. Month four is $2,000. Right? You see what happened? I got for a $500 payment. I got a $24,000 long-term client. You follow the magic of that? I think magic? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a 1%er right there. So you want to take on coaching clients, there's a way to, get $24,000 clients for $500 up front. So I do that, and I would put that in the 20%. What do you think, Ben? Did I help? Does that work?
No, that helps a lot. You know what? When I started, I felt I need some help, so I found a mentor. He was working with Action Coach in the past, very successful in your area in Canada, I think, by the way. Anyways, but what he said is you need to care for people, right? And that's exactly what you are saying. Yeah, it is like
make it about them. Here's another hack on steroids, Ben, right? And for everybody listening, here's what you do. Okay, here's homework for today, not next week, for today. I want you to get a pen and a piece of paper, right? I'd encourage you not to use your phone or your iPad, pen, paper. There's magic in, blood, oxygen, your own body, right? Pen and paper, pick a niche, right? I'm just going to use restaurants for the sake of the argument. Write down 50 ways to help a restaurant. I said this last week, but I'll probably say it next week again. So powerful. Write down 50 ways to help a restaurant. Tomorrow, you will be so excited to call restaurants, because you're like, oh my gosh, if any restaurant owner in the entire city does, forget 50 of these things, if I can get them to do 3, I'm going to totally change their existence, right? And then if you're wondering, okay, what does that look like? Just Google my name and then restaurant case study. So Karl Bryan restaurant case study in Google. And you're going to find that 2 emails will come up, and I apologize, I don't know what they are. I think they might be 8 and 9 or 9 and 10. It's in and around that. It's when I started my One Thing series, my daily email. And you will see, so you go to me, okay, Karl, well, if you are going to do it and you are going to help the restaurant, what are the 50? And I don't know if there's 50 and there might be 25 and there might be 60. I get no idea, but there's lots. If you read that, you're going to have and all tactical. There's going to be very little strategy in there, because maybe another hack that would fall in 20 is that when I work with you, Ben, or when I work with a business, the restaurant, in the first 30, 60, and 90 days, I'm highly tactical, not strategic, right? And I know a business coach is sitting there with lots of experience going, oh my God, what's he talking about? Strategy eats tactics for breakfast, right? And I would agree with them. Here's the thing though. I got to put runs on the board. It's like when Tony asked earlier, his client won't bloody listen to him, right? It's like, I got to create a dynamic. So what I do is I put runs on the board, but don't just put runs on the board. Remember, what did you do for me lately? You got to get really good at putting, positioning it so that you continue to get credit, for those runs on the board, right? But bottom line, then, where I'm going, get a pen, piece of paper, write down 50 ways that you will help a business owner in any specific niche. You pick it. You will be so excited because, okay, why? Because it becomes about them, right? That's the magic, right?
Yeah,
Absolute magic.
that's true. You know what? Like, I totally agree with you. And one thing to add, like really, like, the profit acceleration software. Like, so far, I'm brand new, but I have like literally almost 100% conversion. Anytime I have somebody, and I had actually somebody in front of me, I converted them into a customer. One of them was for the e-learning. It's still a customer, right? So I've used the downsell, but yeah, it's total gold. Thank you very much, sir.
Cool. Well done. Great question, man. I love it. Good job. Good job. I'm going to put you back on mute. All right. Guys, I got a whole ton of questions here, and I apologize. But the good news is, guys, we're back next week. So come armed and dangerous. And again, if you guys want to sit with us and you want to know more about the software and our program and live event mastery and becoming an author, etc., go to coachingclientsnow.com and jump on a calendar, and we will get you looked after. My buddy Christine. I love Christine. She's always got good questions. Christine, we are coming for you. You are self-muted, my love. You got to unmute yourself. There she is. Christine, you are live.
Hey there. Yeah, hey there, Carl. Thanks very much. Yeah, I got a good one for you. And it's when I'm with a prospect for the e-learning or for my program, I have been devolving into coaching them on the spot. And at the end of it, of course, when I make an offer or whatever, they go, well, no, I'm just going to go with what you've said so far.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So what can I do, or what do I need to do to stop doing that and do something instead?
Earlier, no, I can totally. So I went through it earlier, and here it is. First of all, write down the word curiosities, get it tattooed on your forearm, turn it into a bumper sticker, put it on a Post-it note, put it on your computer. Because, two words. There's curiosity, and then there's certainty. The way that I get you on the phone, the way that I get you to a webinar like this, is I make you curious, right? What did I say? I'm going to solve any business coaching problem on the spot. And then I further go, like I might end up looking like an idiot, right? And you're going to be there while I'm crapping my pants on, I'm either going to succeed or fail wildly, and you're going to get to listen in. I'm like, oh my God, that sounds interesting, right? That sounds like something I might want to participate in. But curiosity is the goal. Make no mistake about it. When I write the copy, it's curiosity, right? Now, when I get you on the phone, or not get you on the phone, but we get, in a sales environment, the goal is certainty. So you want me to close you, or you want to close them and do a $2,000 a month, $24,000 coaching client. Your job is certainty. Okay. So the way I describe this is think of money at a discount. That's why business coaches can make so much money. That's why business coaches can make $300,000 a year. I don't want to say easily because it's hard work, but it's kind of falling off a log if you just follow the stuff that I'm talking about here today. Versus a life coach is lucky to make 60. Why? We sell money at a discount. What do I mean? If I had a 10 and you had a 5, and I said, Christine, can we, do you want to trade? Number one, you'd go, is he full of crap? Number two, you'd look for social proof to see if I'm actually going to do this. And number three, you'll make the exchange, and then you'll ask, well, can I have another, please? Right? So money at a discount. So you go from curiosity to certainty. The answer that I gave earlier, okay, and the answer to your question is this, is that I'm going through profit acceleration software, right? So I'm going through the Q&A, and then I say, I get to joint ventures. Let me just pull it up here. We get to joint ventures and alliances, right? So we're in these questions. Okay, so what I do is I'm basically going to go, so Christine, tell me, do you have any joint venture partners? Okay, and you either say, what the hell is a joint venture partner, or no. And then what I do is I then, I basically say, oh, Christine, you are a personal trainer. You own the gym. You are a chiropractor, a dentist, a butcher, a baker, candlestick maker, whatever you are. I know the two perfect joint venture partners for you. Wow, these guys, when we get in front of those guys, they are going to change the complexion of your business big time. But you see what I did? I didn't tell you who they are, and now I get your answer. What kind of impact do you think the right partners could make for your company? You spit out, 20, 25, 30%. I insist that we only go 5. We plunk in 5. We move on to the next question. And guess what you're thinking? Who the hell are those two people? Boom.
Yeah.
And I made you curious as hell. And you're like, yeah, well, he puts me in front of those two people, and look at the way the numbers extrapolate out, as if I'm not going to make 48 grand as a result of doing this, of this relationship. Bingo, bango, bungo. Does that answer your question? Do you like that?
Yeah, it does. In the context that I was doing that in, it wasn't in the context of doing a PAS. It was just, I was having a conversation with them about their program and their offer.
And that, my love, that
and I
in
kept
itself
saying,
is a problem because it's not directed enough.
Yeah.
The conversation needs to lead. Like, okay, the magic of the software is that it's a Q&A process. So when I say to you, Christine, do you have any joint venture partners? The automatic assumption is that I know all about joint ventures and I've got a bunch of them, and this is something that I can help you do. When I say, Christine, do you have a compelling upfront offer? And you go, I don't think so. Like, can you give me an example? And you say, well, as an example, for this appointment today, I told you I could find you $100,000 in 45 minutes without you spending an extra dollar on marketing or advertising. Do you see how that's an offer too good to refuse? And they say, oh, yeah. I go, do you have the equivalent? Yeah. And they go, oh, no. And then you guess what you say? Oh, I know. We'll need to test this a little bit because there'll be some nuances, but I've got an idea around an offer that's going to literally blow your ideal clients away.
So when I'm talking to them in a, this is a conversation to get them into the PAS conversation, right?
Yeah.
So
okay. Let me help you with that one then. Okay. That's a different question, but that needs to be, okay. So here it is. You heard me say this earlier. I am always busy. Okay. I've never got enough time. Why? They want what they can't have. Okay. So first of all, you've got to have that literature throughout the conversation. And simply put, Christine, you say to the guy, look, man, or gal, or Dave, or Susie, I can find you $100,000 in 45 minutes without you spending an extra dollar on marketing or advertising. Or I have a process where you're like, because in some cases, like you actually take on coaches as well. Or the process, I have a process where you can find any business owner $100,000 in 45 minutes without them spending an extra dollar on marketing or advertising. And by the way, I've got software that will rip your business through 497 million weighted algorithmic sequences that will basically populate a roadmap that you will then use over the next 12 months with your client. Look, I got to go. Do you want me to rip you through the $100,000 meeting? I apologize. I wish I had more time, but I don't. But what do you think? Do you want to set an appointment? And they go, yes. They go, no. And if it's yes, you got yourself an appointment. And if it's no, it's okay. Got to move. I'm moving on.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
I'm not filling in a bunch of blanks. Remember, curiosity. That's all you're looking for in that call. And it should be about 15 minutes max, is to make them curious as heck. But make sure you use that. Like, I could be in front of Tony Robbins, Madonna, Richard Branson, you name Mark Cuban, Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank. And I say, I can find any business owner $100,000 in 45 minutes without them spending an extra dollar on marketing or advertising. And every single one of them's eyebrows would raise and they would go, how do you do that? Or something to that effect.
Right.
And believe me, the local chiropractor will most definitely. But you got to say it with some mojo. And by the way, you got to get into the software and practice a little bit so that when you sit with somebody, you're able to do it, the way that I'm describing it. Like, you got to kind of rip through, which takes some practice.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I still, in these conversations that I'm having with them, what I need to be doing is saying to them, well, you know what? Like, it's like, anyway, I won't give you the context.
Okay, Christine, I want to just finish what you're about to say. When you walk into a retail store, and the customer is guiding the salesperson around the store, we have a problem. You need to be more directive on the conversation. You need the lead, as opposed, it sounds to me like you're getting led a little bit, and you need to be doing the leading. Think of that. Okay?
Right. Gotcha. Okay. So I need to be saying, I've got some ideas about that, but we don't have time to do that right now.
I'm too busy. It's not, we don't have time.
We don't. Okay. I'm too busy. Right. Okay. Okay. Gotcha. That makes more sense. Thank you very much.
Beautiful. Okay. Awesome. Okay, guys. And Jennifer's asking about the UK. Most definitely jump on a calendar, Jennifer, and we shall help you out. Look, folks, and Mitzi, thank you, has sent through, so she sent through 8, so I'm going to assume that it's day 8 and 9. Okay. Okay, cool. So look, guys, again, I'm back next week. I hope that was helpful. I also want to thank you guys and honor you guys for coming. Again, lots of awesome questions, so I super appreciate that. And I obviously sincerely apologize if I didn't get to your question, guys. There's lots of questions here, so I apologize about that. But just come ready to rock and roll next week, and I will handle it. And again, if you guys want to chat, which many of you have there, so just coachingclientsnow.com. Jump on a calendar, and we'll help you out. So coachingclients with an S now.com. Hopefully you can read my scratch that was written with my digital pen. So there you go, folks. That's it for me. Appreciate you guys. I'll see you next week. And of course, and if you're here, I guess you follow me maybe on social media, but more the magazine and my email. So again, I'd also like to thank you for following that. Much appreciated. And I look forward to speaking to you guys all next week. So that is it for me. Bingo, bango, bongo.
Karl Bryan built Profit Acceleration Software 2.0 to train business coaches how to find any small business owner more than $100,000 in 45 minutes without them spending an extra dollar on marketing or advertising. This becomes a business coach's superpower. So as a business coach, you'll never again have to worry about working with business owners that can't afford your high-end coaching fees. Check us out at Focused.com.